Alright guys, welcome back. It's a scorcher today, 98 degrees. Not the band, the temperature. In any case, I just want to give you guys a quick update on the Maserati Biturbo. I figure I'll just take the camera, walk around the car, and show you what I've done so far. So let's go take a look. So I've removed the headlights because I am redoing the entire front harness. So all the cables that come from the fuse box, that's usually located right there, and you'll see it's a gaping hole because I've removed the fuse box. That would carry the power. The harness would come, actually it used to be, came through here around the strut tower behind the overfill tank here, or overflow tank, and then it would go to each headlight, the radiator fan, temperature sensor for the radiator, and down to these headlights, and then they would ground. The ground was on this actual, this right here is a stud. It sticks out towards the back, and that's where all the headlights are grounded. So a common issue with Biturbos that have lights issues with the lights is because they're not grounded well. They develop some corrosion. So that's something to look out for if you ever buy one of these and you have issues with the lights or blinkers not working. So I removed the front bumper, so I have good access. I removed all the wiring that controls the lights, radiator, air conditioner, everything. As I explained before, I don't have the battery here. I relocated the battery to the trunk a long time ago. But here is our body ground. This goes to the battery. This black cable goes under the car to the battery. And right here, I used to have a bus bar for the positive, which I now relocated. I shortened the cable, and you could see it comes up. Let me see if I could show you. You see that red thick wire down there? So that's the battery cable, and now I have it routing to this side of the car instead of that side of the car. Why? Because I have a big space here. This is where the stock coils used to sit. This car has twin coil ignition, which no longer it has because I've converted to a distributorless ignition. So in any case, I moved the bus bar here. This is not the bus bar I'm gonna use in the end. I've connected power to the new ECU, the Haltech unit, and this is the ground cable for the starter, which I also relocated. This used to swing out that way. So I had to remove the intake manifold. So I had to basically remove these. There's two of these socket cap screws per cylinder, and I had to remove the throttle cable and disconnect some of these sensors. But that's not a big deal. It's just a matter of undoing some bolts and then putting them back on. So I relocated that. I swung that starter cable to the right side here, and this is the this is going to be the thing that sends the signal for the starter as well. So I moved everything over to this side, and let me go show you the fuse box and what I'm doing. All right, so here's the fuse box out of the car. I have a lot of these plugs disconnected. I'm not worried about figuring out where they go because they only go one way. They have these I guess like keys that you could see here, like one right here, one right there, and they could only go in certain spots, so you can't really mess them up. And even the ones that are the same size will have those keys in different locations. So like this one has two keys, but then there'll be one where the key is in the middle, so you can't really screw it up if you remove the fuse box. But the reason why I removed the fuse box is because my wiring harness was completely, I mean, this is what I was dealing with, bare wires. You know, over time, when I've had this car since I was 21 years old, so you're talking about, 26 years that I've had this car. And when I was a kid, I used to take this car to the mechanic because these cars have a lot of electrical faults because of the crappy fuse boxes they used, and they would just add another wire, splice another wire. The radiator fans don't go on. Okay, splice another wire. So this rat's nest of wires and relays. It's got to go. I don't want to deal with it anymore. So I stripped I took the wiring harness, I opened it up, And basically I made myself a schematic for each system. So just an example, I did something like this so I could figure out where things need to go or how they're wired. The only unfortunate thing is I don't want to wire it back the way they had it from the factory, because I don't want to use these Italomech relays that are fused anymore. I want to have a separate fuse bar and not have to deal with this. So I could explain in more detail once I have the wiring done. But basically, these relays would have the 86. Let me show you here. This is a regular Bosch type relay. So the 86 and the 85, which are the switchable poles on the relay. This is how it is on a Bosch, a typical Bosch relay. And then the 30 is where the power usually comes in, and the 87 is where it comes out. You could also switch that. You could come in through the 87 and out the 30. The Maserati relays, the 30 and 86 poles are switched. That's why these relays are hard to get, because I don't know why they had to do things differently, but because these are switched, a lot of times people replace the Italomech relays with regular Bosch ones, and they screwed up their whole car. You got shorts, and you're sending power through the fuse box that's not designed to handle, and that created a lot of problems too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewire these. So basically all you got to do is just switch the wires that are going into these sockets, the 86 and the 30, and then you can use a regular Bosch relay. Now that solves using a Bosch relay, but you don't have any fuse protection anymore. So the way I'm going to go around that is by having the 30 pole on the relay go through a fuse before it enters the relay block. So let me show you what that looks like. So this is going to be my relay box for a relay block for controlling. Let me see, I have headlights, high beams, low beams, starter, and this is my fog lights. So I labeled everything. By the way, guys, get yourself a label maker. It saved my ass with this project, because there's so many wires to deal with, and what I've been doing is I've been labeling them on both ends here and wherever they connect to. That way if it disconnects or it gets cut, I know where it belongs. But so here, the way I wire this is the 30 pole on all these relays are going to go into this fuse block here. So even though I fused all of them, they're not all going to be used, but I could in the future use them. And see here, and then what I did was I did a bus bar here. This is going to get power from the battery, and then it's going to distribute to, this is in particular has 6 power lines that are going to go and connect here, and then it's going to have a fuse on the opposite end, and so it has to go through the fuse before it gets to the relay. So all these relays will be fused, but they won't have the incorporated fuse on them. It will just be a separate fuse bar. So this again is just for this yellow wire is going to be for the starter. These cables are going to be going to the fuse box, and what I've done is I've put these Delphi connectors on them. They're very common, and then make sure I don't mess up. I made everything coming out of the fuse block male, and then everything going to the fuse box is going to be female. So a lot of work, but with patience you could get it done. Let me show you what I'm going to do to the new fuse box. So here's the old fuse box, and it's got a diode and 3 built-in relays, and then it's got these bullet type fuses, and then this connects to the wiring harness on the inside of the car. So that part I'm leaving alone. I'm not touching the wires on the inside of the car, because they're not frayed, they're in good condition. It's just really the stuff that's on the engine side. So what I've ordered is this thing called the Biturbox. It's basically the word Biturbo with an X at the end. That's the website, Galileo Engineering, if you want to look into it. It apparently works for all of the Biturbos, 81 to 94, Shamal, basically every car without ABS, every Biturbo without ABS. And you can see it's a printed circuit board. All the circuits are heavy duty, very thick circuits instead of the really flimsy flexible ones that are inside of there. And it uses the GM style spade relays. It has your space for your 3 relays. I'm sorry, I meant to say GM style fuses, sorry about that. And then it's got spots for your 3 relays. So I'm just gonna, you know, take them straight out of here. And the diode you do not need, because the diode is actually replaced by those 2 little guys right there. So the diode is built into the actual fuse box. And the way this works is you basically just take this fuse box apart by removing these 4 screws, see, 1 at each corner, and separate this, take out the guts, and then you pop that guy in, and then everything else connects the same. So even if you're not doing this harness from scratch like I am, if you have a lot of electrical gremlins, don't waste your time trying to chase them down. You know, I've had this car for a long time, and that fuse box I've had it rebuilt 3 times, and I barely put any miles on this car, so that thing sucks. So I can't talk about this one yet. I haven't installed it yet, but I hope to make a more detailed video just showing how to install it or how to take that apart and put this in. But for now, I need to focus on my wiring. I gotta move the car next week, so I'm gonna just get it to start, be able to move it, and then the more confusing thing for me has been the wiring for the fans and the AC, because I can't make heads or tails of how they wired this. What they did was they, on the second pole, the second 87 pole, so this is the power line here, they would just pigtail from one relay to the next. Because each relay was fused, they didn't have to have a bus bar with, or a fuse bar. So all these little relay blocks are connected to each other, because one gets the power from the other. But the way they did it is like the fans power the fog lights, and the fog lights power the starter. It's just all over the place. So I'm really trying to simplify this and not lose any features. It seems like a daunting task, but like I said, as long as you, before you take it out, you test everything out, you make sure you connect and disconnect stuff to make sure you realize what it powers, and then label it. Like for example, see here, this says low beam 85, so I know it's on the low beam relay. It connects to the 85 pole. So that's basically how I went about it. So I know I've been talking too much in this video, but again, just wanted to give you a quick update. I hope in the next video to have my relay blocks in the car and be able to move it. And I might just keep the old fuse box in there for now, just to get it, just to move it, and then when I get back into it, I will remove the fuse box again and show you how to install that. It's pretty straightforward, but I'll make a video about it. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos on the Biturbo.